Welcome everybody, this is Nerby's Snapshot, and today I'm super excited. We have Jesus Garcia here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about a niche part of investing, which is called note investing. I'm very excited to dive in. It's all about Jesus today and note investing. Thanks for joining in. Let's just dive in real quick, Jesus. First of all, hey, thanks for showing up.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's my pleasure.
This is awesome. And so where I want to start out is just very simply, so when people ask you, what do you do? How do you answer?
What I've been saying lately is that I'm a retirement accelerator.
Nice.
Right? I think that captures people's attention. And I'm about helping busy professionals retire earlier than they normally would have through investing, particularly in notes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
A retirement accelerator.
Retirement accelerator.
Dude,
yeah.
If that doesn't catch your ear, you know what I mean? Especially
Exactly,
if
right.
those like 40 to 65-year-olds, right? If they hear retirement accelerator.
Yeah.
That's got to
Exactly right. A lot of people my age, they're like, you know what? I don't want to have to wait until I'm 65 or 70 to be able to retire.
Nice.
Right. So I give them this investment vehicle that helps them, get more income, more passive income.
Great.
And retire early and retire comfortably.
Awesome.
So
I'm excited to dive in further here. So let's talk about Jesus a little bit. So who are you? Where are you from? And what's a little backstory before getting involved in this company?
Great. So I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Okay, that's where I grew up, and I came to California in 1999 to work for Intel. Right, and I've been there for the last 18 years, and I love it. Great company to work for.
As an engineer.
For the last 18 years, right? And I have a wife and two daughters that I just adore. Everything's about them.
Of course, yeah. How old are your daughters?
They're 8 and 9 years old.
8 and 9.
8 and 9, yeah. They're my little babies.
Yeah.
Keeping me busy.
I know. Not quite teenagers.
Not quite. Yeah. They still like to call them.
Nice.
Love it.
Good man.
So
from Miami, you got a wife, 2 kids.
Wife, 2 kids. Been a computer engineer for the last 18 years. I love what I do. Great company, right? No complaints there.
Yeah.
But early last year, I looked at my retirement account, my 401k, just like many of us do, and I'm like, it's doing well. It's hard not to do well in this market, but it's not quite where I need it to be.
Got it.
Right, and I knew that it's not going to support the lifestyle that I wanted when I retire. I want to be able to travel, spend all my time with my family, give back to the community, and support my own family.
Totally.
Right, I have aging parents. My dad went through a bout of cancer, right? So it really makes you rethink, where your life is headed.
Right.
Do you really want to work in the corporate world the rest of your life? And so and you want to do more than just do the day-to-day and do the grind, right? You want to enjoy life, spend time with your kids, and
not worry about the finances,
and give back to the community, right? And it's all about freedom,
yeah.
right? It's all about freedom. So that's when I discovered real estate investing.
Nice.
And I fell in love.
Okay.
Right, as an engineer and as a mathematician in a way, I love spreadsheets. I love looking at the numbers, figuring out returns. Right, and solving problems.
Right.
And real estate, is all about solving people's problems, networking with people. It's all about relationships, right? And I just love that about real estate. Right?
Me too. I guess.
Oh yeah, you're great at that, right? It's all about the connections and solving problems and dealing with the numbers and creating win-win situations, right?
So I know you're here now and you're very proficient with note investing.
Yeah.
But before you got there, what did you dabble with before note investing, or did
Great,
you just dive right in?
Great question. No, I didn't. So I started out investing in the stock market.
Okay.
Just like most people do, right? I read The Motley Fool, right?
Nice.
Read The Motley Fool. I did all the right things. I invested in the stock market, mutual funds and bonds, and I went through several financial advisors.
Oh, you did.
And and that went all right. But I wanted something more, right? So that's when I started looking into real estate investing. And so first thing I did was I started getting educated on it, reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts like Bigger Pockets, etc., all the others.
Yeah.
And I infected my brother with the real estate investment bug. I said, George, this is the way forward.
Nice. Good.
This is what we have to do.
I could tell you probably got just so passionate.
Yeah,
I
was so passionate. I'm like,
brother, hey, we're doing this.
Exactly. He's like, well, what's real estate investing? Oh, let me tell you.
Nice. Good.
Right. So, our first project was a flip down in Florida, right?
Okay.
We bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house in Pembroke Pines.
Okay.
And from beginning to end, it was a 4-month project, and we flipped the house profitably, and we loved it.
Great.
Right. And then, so what's next? Right. So we started looking at all the shiny objects. You know how it is when you first get started in this business. You're like, wow, this is a universe in itself, right? So many different ways of making money. Oh, I want to do multifamily. Oh, I want to do commercial, right? I want to do retail. I want to do office space. I want to do storage, warehouse.
It can be overwhelming.
Could be overwhelming.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
where do you go, right? Buy and hold, flips. So we went through this period of trying to find our path, the right path in real estate investing. I think a lot of investors will, especially the new people, will go through this and they can understand.
True.
But meanwhile, fortunately, my wife had worked at Intel, and she had a 401k that we rolled over into a self-directed IRA.
Oh wow.
So it was she no longer works at Intel, so we rolled over her investment money into a self-directed IRA, and we started doing private lending out of it.
Nice.
So I found a rehabber. I was able to fund his projects, using the self-directed IRA, and we've done like 10 projects so far. They've all been profitable. They've all
nice.
worked well, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen that way, but we've been really lucky. And so that's how I first got introduced and exposed to the world of notes.
Got it.
Here I am originating mortgages and promissory notes. I understand that space, how interest rates work, origination. So that's how I got exposed to the world of loans
Makes sense.
through
Okay.
private lending.
Got it. Because you're already dealing with notes in a way.
Exactly,
so-
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, instead of buying notes from the secondary market like I'm doing now, I was actually funding them and originating them, right?
That makes sense.
I was familiar with the way notes function, with the paperwork, what all the
Okay.
terms were.
So before we dive too deep,
Yeah.
for everybody out there, what is a note, and can you just kind of describe that
Oh,
for everybody?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a note is short for a promissory note.
Okay.
It's basically a promise to pay. So a dollar bill is a note. Everyone has notes all around them. They deal with notes daily, they just don't know it. A check that you write is a note. I give you a check. It means that when you cash it in, I promise to pay you the amount on that check.
Oh, that's great.
Right.
I never thought about cash or checks.
Cash
in
and
that
checks,
way.
yes, exactly.
But
Right?
it
If
is-
I give you $1,
Yeah.
right, you can go out into the market and get some value for it, right? Some
Yeah.
promise that it will be fulfilled. The home to the note, to the promissory note, and you have the note itself, which describes the loan and its terms.
Okay.
So those two together, right, create this package that says, I'm going to lend you money, and you're going to pay me back with certain terms at a certain time period. And if you don't pay, then the home serves as collateral.
Got it.
I get to take the house. Right?
Okay.
So that's basically what
That's what
the
a note
mortgage
is.
and the note is, right?
Okay,
so,
got it.
Yeah. So notes, you say I work with deeds, trust deeds, notes, promissory notes, mortgages. Those terms are kind of used interchangeably, right? But the easiest term is just notes.
It's all under the umbrella.
Under
of
the umbrella,
notes.
yeah, exactly.
And essentially, the main components are there's like a term, so amount of years or whatever.
Right. The interest
And you
rate,
said interest rate.
payment amount.
Okay, and then it's typically backed by property.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Backed by
Okay.
property.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great.
And so there's all sorts of different types of notes. You can make a note out of anything, right?
Okay.
There's commercial notes,
True.
so there's buildings. It could be a note on a car. So for example, when you buy a car and you take out a loan from the bank, right? That's a note,
Got it.
right? So I can, theoretically, I can buy that note from the bank, right?
True.
It's backed by the car. Now you have to pay me, right? And if you don't pay me,
You
I
get
can
the
take
car.
your car, right? So
Okay.
that's a different. So so notes are all around us, right?
Wow.
The one that I work with are real estate backed notes,
Got it.
specifically residential real estate backed notes.
Got it.
Right. I'm not dealing with the commercial space yet. This is single family
Got it.
homes that I'm dealing with.
Okay, and so you obviously you did some research. You looked into other things in investing. You said multifamily, commercial. There's a lot of options out there. So ultimately, you chose this vehicle notes.
Yeah.
Why? You know what I mean? Of all the options out there, why?
Yeah.
Why notes?
And it doesn't mean that I've excluded all the others.
Mhm.
It just means that I'm focusing on notes now.
True.
And this is why. So in real estate investing, as you know, you being a realtor and investor yourself, right, there's a lot of people in this space, right? I mean,
Crowded.
yeah, it's very crowded.
Oh, yeah.
And so what happens when everyone chases the yields?
It's going to go down.
The yields go down, right? Those cap rates drop, the yields go down, right? So it is in today's market, it's difficult to find deals. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. It's difficult. You have to be experience, you have to be a pro, you have to have a lot of time, you have to be very creative, have all the right connections, have all the right relationships, right? It's very difficult for new people to get into this market and make the kinds of returns that more experienced people have.
Got it.
Right? And like I said, that's not that it's not possible, it's just very, very difficult, right? With notes, it's still a relatively small market compared to the larger space of real estate investing.
Got it.
Right? And there's a lot of deals out there in terms of notes. In fact, states are still dealing with the repercussions of the foreclosures that they've had to do in the last decade.
Wow.
Right? It's still processing them, right? And Fannie Mae is still selling them, right? So it's not a fast process.
Right.
So there's still lots of notes out there, with good values that you can buy at a discount and still make great return on. There's plenty of deals out there.
Okay. So you chose this space, maybe less competition, and there's still some good yield out there.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
it's not just about the competition, but you also get great returns. So double-digit returns, very similar to what you get in real estate, right? It's secured by real estate, so you get exposure to that market.
Got it.
You still get to help people, right? We're about helping homeowners stay in their homes, right? But also, you don't have to deal with all the headaches that real estate investors tend to deal with.
Got
So
it.
I like to say, we are lien lords, not landlords. And by the way, that's not my term.
Lien
Yeah,
lords, I love
I'm
that.
going to give credit to Christopher Saveni.
Nice.
He's the first one that says, I'd rather be a lien lord than a landlord.
Got it.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that. So I'm taking it and using it, Chris.
That's great.
So as a lien lord, you don't have to deal with tenants, toilets, termites, or trash.
Oh man, and you
Right.
hear that all the time.
You hear that all the time.
From people who have tenants or rentals. They're like,
Yeah.
man, I don't even want to be in the space because I'm tired of dealing with it.
I just spoke to a friend of mine last night, not
Yeah.
making this up.
Yeah.
She and her husband own a property in Fair Oaks, a duplex.
Right.
On one side, you have the crazy tenants that have birds
Oh wow.
that have just destroyed the place.
Ugh,
Destroyed it. But they don't want anybody to come in. They've been there for decades and they're paying their rent, right? They haven't increased the rent, so the rent is super low.
Right.
But they've destroyed the apartment. And on the other side, you have the super picky tenants, the high maintenance tenants that, oh, my light bulb doesn't turn on. What do I do? And
You're getting calls on Sunday morning,
exactly. So
like-
they have these these two polar opposite tenants
Yeah.
in this nightmare duplex,
Uh,
right? And they don't know what to do. They're like, oh, don't want to I want to get rid of it, but it's still making me money.
Right.
So you have to deal with all these issues. But as a note investor, you're the bank. You don't have to deal with that stuff. The landlord has to deal with that stuff,
Got it.
right? Or the tenant, right? If you just have a regular occupier in there, they have to maintain their home. They have to pay the property taxes. They have to pay insurance.
Got it.
Right? They have to deal with contractors. They have to deal with the plumbers. I don't. All I have to deal with is the paper. Just get my mortgage payments.
It all sounds almost too good to be true.
I get the mortgage payments.
Yeah,
right? I don't,
yeah. That's great.
I get the mortgage payments.
So okay, so how does this work? You obviously, let's say I wanted to invest in a note. How's it structured? What does that look
Oh yeah,
like?
there's,
you know
there's,
what I mean?
yeah, there's
So
multiple ways to engage.
maybe you want to dive into that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. So you as an investor,
Yep.
let's say you have a full-time job, right? You're a busy professional. You don't have a lot of time to go out and find your deals, and because you have a family, you have a job to take care of, you have a W-2, you're living
And I
your
want
life.
to ski on the weekends.
You want to ski on the
You know what I mean?
weekends,
Yeah,
right?
So
But you do have some disposable income, right? We don't invest with people that can't afford, that don't have the play money. We don't want people
Right.
to take money from the table, to take food off the table in order to invest.
right, too much
Right.
risk.
Right, so we, so a person has to have some sort of disposable income,
Okay.
right? And there's multiple ways to engage. One, you can just buy a note from us, and what's called a partial. Maybe we can dig into a partial a little bit later on.
Sure.
So you can buy what's called a partial note from us, where you have a target rate of return for a certain amount of time, and that is your note. You're getting the income from this performing note. A performing note is when the borrower is actively paying on time,
Okay.
right? So you're getting this income from this note, and my company and I, Prominent Funding, we're there to back you up, help you out in case anything happens with the note.
Okay.
So we manage the loan servicer in case the borrower doesn't pay, and we have to follow up and try to modify the loan or do a, it's called a cash for keys or even a foreclosure, we'll back you up.
Okay.
Right? We don't leave you out in the cold to deal with this, on your own.
Got it.
So that's one way. You buy a note from us, we'll help you if anything happens.
Okay.
Another way is for you to actually go into business with us.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll form an entity together, so like an LLC.
Okay.
You'll put up the money, and we'll invest that money for you in a portfolio of notes.
Got it.
And what depending on your goals, your financial situation, whether you want to save up for retirement or get income, throughout this investment,
Mm-hmm.
right? We'll structure the deal so that we'll meet your financial goals.
Okay.
And so we'll be in business for a few years together, investing in notes in a portfolio that fits, what your goals are.
Got it. Okay.
And at some point, we'll decide to, terminate after a few years or continue the relationship, right?
Okay.
We also help other aspiring note investors build their business. So, for example, if you know about real estate investing, right? You know about multifamily, you're great
Sure.
at that, but you want to dabble in notes, maybe you want to, maybe branch off into notes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You come into business with us, we'll show you how it all works. We'll expose our systems to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you set up your CRM. This is the ROI spreadsheets we use. This is how you do due diligence.
That's great.
Right, so you invest a couple of years for us, and we'll help you ramp your business. And then, when it makes sense, you can go off and do, go off
That's
on your own.
great. Sounds like you really come from a place of contribution. So no matter what your goals are, you're going to help the investor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about helping
Yeah.
the investor. Just like in any good business,
Totally.
right? It's about the people you work with.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm not here to squeeze anyone. It's about creating win-win situations.
So there's these notes out there. I mean, where do they come from? Where are they? Like, where are the
They're
properties?
all over the country.
Okay.
They are all over the country.
Okay.
So what happens is, homeowners, they when they first buy a home,
Yep.
they take out a loan with a bank, right? It could be a major bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Quicken Loans, whatever it is, right? After a while, and people have experienced this, but they may get a letter that says, "Oh, your loan has been sold to another bank."
Oh, it seems like
It happens all the
first
time,
week, right?
Yeah, exactly. Boom, it's been sold, right? Eventually it gets, so banks, they buy the loans from each other,
Okay.
and because, they have many business reasons to want to get out of, maybe they don't want to invest in that state anymore. Maybe they want to use their money somewhere else.
Okay.
Banks have to hold a lot of reserves in order to service some notes, right? So they may want to, use the cash for other more lucrative investments.
Got it,
So
okay.
they'll sell the notes. And so eventually these notes make it down to the secondary market where large funds will buy, billions of dollars worth of notes. They may keep some of the ones they want and sell the rest,
Got it.
right? And so it makes its way out into a secondary market, and note investors like me and others will come in and we'll purchase these notes and either keep them as performing loans or rework them as not performing loans. I think we should get into what's a not performing note versus
Absolutely.
performing. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'll be basic.
No idea, so yeah.
That's that's a very important concept
But
here.
essentially, homeowner goes, applies for a mortgage. They get a loan from a bank.
Yeah.
Now they're living in the property. Then the bank doesn't want to hold on to that any longer, so they, you hear about like collateralization and whatever. They sell it off.
Yeah.
And then eventually that kind of trickles down to where investors, like
Yeah.
you and I,
Yeah.
can go and
Yeah.
buy a few.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, okay.
Because people will ask, wait, are you selling mortgage-backed securities?
Mm.
It is very similar, but
Okay.
it is not that. Yeah, we're not selling a security instrument that
Yeah.
is backed by a whole bunch of mortgages.
Right. It's
What we're selling is
individual.
the mortgages themselves.
Got it.
Right. You're not buying one instrument that's priced, based on the performance of all of these. Right. It's not a
Right.
bet on the performance of these.
Mhm.
We are buying the actual notes that are
Right.
behind the mortgage-backed securities. Right.
Per property basis.
Yeah, property
Yeah,
basis,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
we can buy a tape of them, which means just a collection of notes, or we can buy, just individual ones,
Okay.
one at a time.
Got it.
So yeah, thank you for bringing
Yeah,
that up.
that's
Great
great.
point.
And maybe we can dive into performing
And not
and
performing.
non-performing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean?
All right. So a performing note is when the borrower is actively paying, mostly on time,
Okay.
right? So let's say out of a 12-month year, they'll make 11 out of the 12 payments. It's still considered a performing note, right?
Okay.
There may be 30. Sometimes they have like a rolling 30 days late because they skipped a month,
Sure.
and then they pay, and then they pay on time every, after
Life
that.
happens, right?
But there's still, so that's a performing note. you're getting the payments almost every month, maybe on the 1st or the 15th, it's performing. A non-performing note is when the borrower is not paying.
Okay.
And that's a very interesting space. And you're like, Jesus, why would you deal with a non-performing note?
Right. It seems like you buy it and then you're not getting any cash flows. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I like to think about it, well, first of all, whether we buy a performing note or a non-performing note, we buy them at a discount. And we'll get into maybe we'll get a little bit
you
later
wanna
into
do
when
an
we talk
example?
about a discount.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So there's basically two numbers that we look at when figuring out the price that we want to pay for a note.
Okay.
One is this one.
There you go, boss.
Sure, thank you. So first of all, you have a home, right?
Okay.
We'll make it pretty.
Gotta throw a little door on
Yeah,
there,
I'll throw
a
it-
couple
so-
windows.
So this home may be worth, let's just say, 100,000. So you have a $100,000 home, that's your collateral.
Okay.
Okay, attached to this
Like
home,
as is.
as
you
is,
could
yeah.
sell it today.
Yeah, you can sell it
for-
today. Yeah, the broker price opinion, it's
Yeah.
worth $100,000.
Okay.
And then you have the note,
Mm-hmm.
right? The unpaid balance of the note. So we'll call this home value. Let's call this home value. Can you see that there?
Perfect.
Home value, and then you have the unpaid balance of the note. So UPV is unpaid balance. How much does the person owe on the loan?
Right.
Right. So let's call it. Let's say this is 70,000.
That's the more. They still have a $70,000.
Yeah. So they have a $70,000 mortgage to pay.
Cool.
Right. And so what we'll do is we'll look at which of these two is lower, right? Because we want a margin of safety.
Got it.
Right, when we buy right, right. So we'll base our target price, our offer. If it's a performing note, it could be anywhere from 65 to 85% of the unpaid balance,
Got it.
or one of these two. So
Whatever number is lower.
yeah,
Okay.
whichever number is lower, right? So let's say this is let's say we pay $60,000, right? Here. So for performing,
Okay.
right, we may pay this much for this. If it's a non-performing note, so I'm going to call it NPL for like non-performing loan. So the
Got
person isn't paying. We'll try to pay less than half of the lower of these two.
Wow.
So we may pay
35 or less?
like $33,000 for it.
Wow. Now, what's
That's
in it for the hedge fund or the bank to sell it off at such a discount? You know,
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So this one is obvious because they're not making any money off of
they
this.
just want to get off.
They
the
just wanna
books.
get it off
Yeah,
the books.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would they sell this one at a discount? When in a performing loan, they make most of their interest payments in the front end of the loan. So let's say the bank has maybe held this note for 10 years. They've already made their principal back and then some, possibly,
Got it.
right? So they may want to sell it. And again, maybe it's a perfectly fine loan, but they just want to, maybe they don't want to invest in Iowa anymore.
Sure.
They'd rather take that money and go to California.
Got it.
So they'll sell the Iowa loans, right?
That
So they
makes
have all these business reasons
Okay.
why they would want to sell them off.
Okay.
So what this shows you is that we always build in a margin of safety. So in case anything happens, right, we have the home value that's worth a lot more than what we paid for the note.
So
Right.
really, realistically, you could, worst case scenario, turn around and hopefully
And-
get close to 100,000.
Exactly. Right. If we have to go through foreclosure, which by the way is a last resort,
Yeah.
we have a house that's worth a lot more than what we paid.
Smart.
Right? And if these numbers were reversed, right, we could have a $70,000 home value,
Oh, and then they're upside down.
and they're upside down, right? So we have an unpaid balance of 100,000. Right? We'd still go for the same numbers because we want again that margin of safety.
Great. Okay.
Right, and so what the way this makes it different than, let's say, investing in the stock market, right? The stock market, you invest in the stock market, you put $30,000, $50,000 in there. What's it backed by? Nothing. You could lose the whole thing.
True.
You don't have a house there to be able to try to recoup your
So
money.
you still have something of value. At the
Here
end of
you
the day.
still have something of value.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what makes this different. That's why I really like this.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So for someone who's just getting involved, maybe wants to reach out to your company, is there one that you prefer that they get into, or
It depends on their goals.
depends on their goals? Okay.
Yeah, good question. So we handle these differently. You manage these differently. A performing loan. Why would I buy a performing loan? There's
Mhm.
multiple reasons. One, immediate cash flow. These are actively paying.
Got it.
So you're gonna get income every month. So this is great for someone that wants to supplement their income right now. Maybe they want to quit their job and they want to just have something that comes in every month to be able to live off of, right? Isn't too worried about the tax implications yet. So they may want to buy a performing loan. So it brings immediate income,
Okay.
and also when you have a mixed portfolio of non-performing and performing loans, the performing loans will bring in cash reserves that you may need in order to service the non-performing loans.
Got it. So you'd have like a little portfolio.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So it all depends on how you want to balance it out, right?
Okay. Got it.
Non-performing loans are very interesting
Okay.
because you say, well, Jesus, why would you want to pay $33,000 if the guy's not paying,
Right.
right?
Totally. Yeah.
that's worthless.
No cash flow.
No
nothing.
cash flow,
Unless
nothing.
you sell, then maybe or
So-
foreclose, or yeah.
So the great thing about notes is that you have multiple exit strategies,
Okay.
right? The
You
fact,
write 'em up?
no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So the fact that you bought it at such a discount means that you can do multiple things,
Got it. Okay.
right? So we're here to keep borrowers in their homes,
Right.
right? We're not predatory lenders that, okay, well, I bought this loan at $33,000. The guy's not paying. I'm going to kick him out and get the house.
Got it.
That's not what we're here to do, right? We want to help people stay in their homes. That's good for them. It's good for us. It's good for the communities.
Totally. I
right?
respect that.
It's a
for sure.
win-win situation. So we try to modify the loans, right? Either by doing a refinance,
Mhm.
right? So let's say, if they can't afford a $500 payment, maybe we can work with them to bring them down to a $250 payment,
Got it. Okay.
right? Something that they can afford,
Hmm.
right? So we'll do everything that we can to work with the borrower to get them paying again.
Got
Because
it.
borrowers don't like to be delinquent. They don't like, feeling all the pressure and going against the law. I mean,
And it's
They
their
wanna
house.
do- they
They
wanna
wanna
do
keep
the
their
right thing.
house, right?
They
At the
wanna
end of the
keep their
day,
house, right?
But that will affect your return ultimately, right? If you lower from 500 to 250,
it does affect your
like
it
the
does
cash
affect your
flow.
return.
So
yes.
you have to be comfortable with.
So
Yeah,
the great segue into the exit strategy. So
Mhm.
that's one exit strategy, is just modify and hold it and just keep getting those payments.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But what happens? But what did we just do? We just converted a non-performing loan to a performing loan. Now we have a borrower who's paying.
Nice.
So what did we do? We just rehabbed the note, just like rehabbing a house. You take a distressed property, you rehab it, you fix it up,
Mhm.
and then you sell it
Ah,
at a
okay.
premium. That's what we can do with what we call a re-performing loan.
Nice.
It was not performing,
Yeah, yeah.
we got it re-performing, and now we can sell it for a higher price.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so
Got
that's
it.
one way. We sell it to another investor at a higher price.
Mhm.
That's one way we make money.
Okay.
Right? That's the ideal scenario, right? Get the guy paying again, and now we can either keep the payments, like I
Right.
said, or sell it.
Keep for the cash flow.
Keep
or
it for the
then
cash
unload
flow, or
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
sell it. Other exit strategies, something called deed in lieu or cash for keys,
it. Okay.
which is a great alternative. If the borrower for some reason cannot do the loan modification, cannot afford the payments at all,
Mm.
right? We'll reach out to them and say, look, I don't want to affect your credit. I don't want to do a foreclosure on you. It's not in our best interest. So I will give you a certain amount of money, $1,000, $2,000, for you to just move out of the house, leave it broom swept, and hand over the deed or the keys to us.
Got it.
So this will give you enough money to go find another rental somewhere and get you back on your feet. Your credit is not affected because we're not foreclosing.
It could be a win-win.
Exactly.
potentially on the
Exactly.
situation, right?
Exactly.
Their credit's not affected. They get a little bit of cash for it,
And we get this.
and then you get the house.
And we get the house.
And you don't have to go through foreclosure.
And we don't have to go through foreclosure, right? So
Which is I would imagine.
which is the last resort,
Yeah, okay.
right? So sometimes borrowers don't respond at all. No matter how much we try to work with them, they do not respond. They don't play ball. So we have no choice. We have to foreclose, right? And so when we foreclose, you know, we've built enough margin of safety in the price that we paid to be able to pay for the legal fees, and still make a decent profit, right? So it's not impossible to lose money in notes, not impossible by any means, right? But if you buy it right with enough margin of safety, you know, you can get most of your investment, if not a little bit more, right?
That's
So
great.
that's what happens with non-performing loans.
Okay.
That's how you make money. And so the thing about non-performing loans is that you're not getting the monthly income until you have a pipeline of them.
Right.
But you know, it takes several months, maybe even a year, to go through that process. But the returns are potentially much higher.
Got it. Now, who's your ideal investor? Like, someone's going to come to you and they want to invest with you. They say, hey, they watch this video. They're like, I love notes. Get me in touch with Jesus. But who would this be a good fit for? You know?
Oh, it's a good fit for busy professionals.
Okay.
High net worth individuals. I said they have some disposable income that they can invest with and not feel the pressure that, oh my gosh, if this doesn't go well, you know, I'm not going to be able to feed my family, right? And no one should invest that way.
Yeah.
Right? So high net worth individuals are busy professionals that don't have the time or the skills really to dive into something new like this, but they still want some sort of passive income, right?
Okay.
People with retirement accounts that, you know, maybe they're invested in the stock market and they want to diversify their portfolio. This is a great portfolio diversification strategy. So you can invest in your stocks and bonds and mutual funds and your 401k. You can invest in notes. You can get exposure to the real estate market.
Got it. Okay.
Right. So that's another type of individual. Another one is a real estate investor that wants to diversify his real estate holdings and wants to learn something new. Wants to be exposed to a different aspect of it, right? You may be a landlord and you've heard, you know, this thing notes sounds very interesting, right? So, you know, those people are already familiar with the market and probably be more comfortable with the terms and the whole space.
Okay.
So they can also invest in notes with us.
Now, is it like on a scale of passive to active? Like, where are we on the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be
I give you
anywhere
the
you
money
want.
and then I sit in Jamaica and I collect checks, or is it like I give you the money and now I got to check in with you every day and
Oh no, you
make
definitely
sure-
don't have to check in with us every day.
or you know, and there were some things you talked about like for closing and collecting payments, and it seems like there's a lot of
There's a lot of moving parts.
activity to
When
do
you're the
this.
manager,
right.
as a note investor, we put the systems in place to be able to automate this as much as possible, right? And we work with loan servicing companies and attorneys to do the heavy lifting for us. So we manage the vendors, we manage the loan servicing companies, we manage the attorneys, right? Make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Sometimes loan servicing companies may not be on top of things like they should. So, you know, we're on top of them every week. Hey, you know, did you send out this letter? You know, what's going on with the borrower? Why haven't we received the payment?
Got it.
Right? So we as the manager, so my partner and I, you know, we handle that aspect of the business.
Great.
The investor would provide, you know, the capital for us to invest with, right? And we'll send you a monthly report that says what's going on with your notes, how your investment's doing,
Okay.
right? But you don't have to check in if you don't want to, right? It's up to you, right?
Right.
The portals are there. You can go in and check on the status and see how everything's doing, but you don't have to do that.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
We do the hard work for you.
Sounds like you're really leveraging your company to take care of
Exactly.
a lot of the activity that needs to be done.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's great.
Right.
So then that kind of leads me to, so like, how is your company getting paid through this whole process? Like, how does that all work out? You know, so are you just
Yeah.
connecting people with the property, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
yeah.
so investors would invest a certain amount of money with us that we can then use to purchase a portfolio of notes that match their goals.
Got it.
Right? And then, you know, those notes themselves will provide more income. And, you know,
Great.
that's how we get paid.
Okay, awesome. Now, looking into the future for your company, you know, maybe the next year, 3 years, what do you see as with notes and your company? You know?
Yeah, you know, we want to take it to the next level.
Okay.
You know, we want to start a private placement memorandum and get a fund going where we'll raise several $1 million
Love it.
so that, you know, we can invest on a much larger scale.
Awesome.
Right, and I think it'll bring efficiencies of scale that we don't have at the moment. You know, we're still a fledgling company. By the way, my company's name is Prominent Funding.
Great.
Right, I have a partner. His name is Richard McGrew. A very smart guy. We work really well together.
Okay.
So we've been doing this business since the beginning of this year.
Right.
Right, he started investing in notes independently in 2016, and while I was doing the private lending, and then we met at Intel this year.
Oh, cool.
And we had the same goals, similar outlook, complementary skills. So we worked very well together, and
decided to collaborate.
Say, hey,
nice.
let's get together and put the systems in place. And yeah, we've been rolling.
That's awesome. And so the fund you were saying was going to allow you to, instead of buying one off, you can just buy.
Buy larger
packages
tapes.
of
Right.
them.
It'll give us more leverage,
And-
right?
and
We
better
get better
discounts,
prices,
right?
get better price,
Yeah.
right? Instead of buying 2 notes, we'll say we'll buy these 100 notes from you, right?
Okay.
So you'll get a significant discount.
Great.
Right, so yeah, it's a win-win
I'm
for
excited
our
for
investors.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna
That's
be great.
cool.
Yeah, I
And
feel like a coiled spring right now. It's like you're preparing, you're just gonna take off.
I love it, man.
It's
I love
great.
it. So if people want to get a hold of you, they watch the video and they love notes. Maybe they want to learn more, or where can they find
Yeah.
you online and get a hold of you?
Yeah. So our company is called Prominent Funding. Now our web presence is still developing. It's under construction.
That's okay.
Right. So you go to prominentfunding.com.
Okay.
PROMINENT funding.com. Did I get it right?
Good man. Good man.
prominentfunding.com, and we also have another site called notesecrets.com.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so we're working on that. We're working on getting our social media strategy together.
Cool.
You can also email me, Jesus, JESUS, at prominentfunding.com,
Great.
or call me 916-549-3229.
Awesome. This has been really, really helpful, man, honestly. I know we met the other day and we went over it, but just going over it again just kind of solidified things for me, and
Yeah.
I know people out there really appreciated it. Is there any parting words that you'd like to leave for the audience, or any last things on notes?
You know what? Both Richard and I love to share what we're passionate about, and we're passionate about notes, and we're passionate about real estate, and we love to share that knowledge with other people. So if you just want to find out more, just slightly curious, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be more than happy to talk to you about this space.
Great.
Right? And we're here to help people and make sure that everyone is successful.
Nice. Awesome. I'm excited to see in a year, 3 years, we'll check back in and man, I can imagine.
We're going to be in contact,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
This is
absolutely.
great.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate it.
Thanks for joining in. That was Nerby's snapshot here with Jesus Garcia and Note Investing. Thanks so much for joining and tuning in. And remember, make it a great day.